Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Good evening, Maverick family. Good evening, everyone, new viewers, wherever you may be watching from. I'm Rick Walker. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here tonight. Much to share with you. The search for that missing submersible off the coast of Newfoundland, the Titanic tour, continues tonight. We'll bring you up to date on that. Justin Trudeau, the RCMP in Canada, has confirmed that Canada's Prime Minister is under investigation for possible obstruction of justice related to the SNC Lavelin Affair. That scandal has come back to haunt the Prime Minister. Confirmation coming today. We'll have that. Let's take another look here. Also, the debate over should they have a debate continues. Dr. Hotek being called out by Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and many others tonight, being challenged, saying he should step up and debate RFK Jr. on the issue of vaccines. There's even money on the table. The issue has created quite a divide on social media. We'll dip into that tonight as well. So lots to talk about, lots of controversy, lots of politics. And of course, we're crossing our fingers and hoping for the best for the people on board that submersible. And we will be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so I'm back, and just a short time ago, there was a news conference in Boston regarding the search for this submersible, this Titanic tour sub. Let me just see if I can get you the latest info here. So 5 people aboard. It's gone missing. It was on a tour of the wreckage of the Titanic off the coast of Newfoundland. The Coast Guard says it's a 21-foot submersible, and they lost contact with the vessel an hour and 45 minutes after it went underwater yesterday morning. So the Coast Guard was notified yesterday afternoon that this submersible, which belongs to deep sea exploring company OceanGate, was overdue, and then crews immediately launched and started to search for this vessel. So this submersible has apparently 96 hours of oxygen available for survival. So they believe this is, a situation where there is still hope that the submersible might be recovered and the people on board might be rescued. So here's some clips from this news conference, which was held just a short time ago. This is not live, but I will bring you some of what was said during this news conference to bring you up to date so that we get the information directly from this official. Here we go.
From the operator of the vessel that the vessel was designed with a 96-hour sustainment capability if there was an emergency on board. And so we're using that time, making the best use of every moment of that time to locate the vessel.
So can you talk about who was on board exactly? And is there somebody in English charging of British Explorer who confirms that he's on board as a family member?
At this point, I'm not in a position to confirm the identity of anybody on board the vessel. Out of respect for the families, we're going through the notification process, and more updates will be forthcoming.
Sorry, I know you may be jumping to something there, but it seems like if that vessel is indeed sitting on the bottom, the 96-hour window to reach it, that this is a race to get some sort of rescue vehicle down to it. Am I correct about that?
That's absolutely part of the overall planning for this search case. Right now, we're focused on locating the vessel, but at the same time, if we find this vessel in the water, then we will have to effect some sort of rescue or coordinating, reaching out to different partners within the U.S. Navy, within the Canadian Armed Forces, and within private industry to understand what underwater rescue capability might be available.
Are there any vessels on the way there that could do that? You could get down there?
So at this moment, we're focused on the search and understanding the capabilities of the vessels that are deploying to the scene. So the sonar capabilities within the sonar buoys and within the hull of the commercial vessel that is out there operating on site, those aren't Coast Guard sonars. They are capable of listening to a depth of 13,000 feet, as I understand. So in terms of the square mileage of the search, I don't have that number right at this moment, but it includes both a surface area that we're looking at and a subsurface area. And so we'll get you the exact number for the square mileage of the search. In terms of the hours, we understood that that was 96 hours of rescue or emergency capability from the operator. And so we anticipate that there's somewhere between 70 to the full 96 hours available at this point.
Do you believe that the sub would be in a location near the Titanic? And if so, what are some of the challenges with sonar and a debris field of the Titanic?
So it's certainly the purpose of the submarine was to, as I understand, the purpose of the submersible was to provide opportunity to visit the wreck site and explore the wreck site. So that's a possibility. Again, right now our focus is getting on as much capability into the area as we can and understanding that full capability of those assets that are being deployed. Our aerial assets that are being deployed have the capability to do both visual and radar searches, and the Canadians asset had the ability to drop sonar buoys and listen. And so we're using all that information to improve our search capability. So we're working through that right now, but what we're really focused on at the moment is really locating the vessel, which could either be in the surface or subsurface. And so we're bringing in technical expertise to understand both the dynamics of underwater search and underwater rescue operations. So as search and rescue professionals, we work very, very hard, and our crews take this personally. Our first thoughts are with the crew members and the families of those on board. And so we want to make sure that we have done absolutely everything that we can do to locate their family members and bring them home safe. And so they're first and foremost in our thoughts every moment of this search operation.
So how common are these wrecks to the Titanic in general, and how dangerous are they even without emergency taking place?
I don't have any details on how often folks visit the wreck site there at Titanic, nor any specific comments on the dangers involved. Certainly, every time ships go to sea, they encounter hazards and dangers. And so having properly prepared vessels, properly prepared crew members, and making sure that you practice emergency procedures, good practical advice for anybody that goes to sea.
What's happening specifically to the families of those people involved right now? Are you in contact with them? Is there a staging right for them? What's happening?
So at this point, I'm not going to discuss any information about the families and communications with the families. And so we'll provide that with future updates.
Any idea of the number of personnel searching? Is it dozens, hundreds?
So the Coast Guard has two C-130 aircraft. In addition to the command team that's working here, we have two C-130 aircraft deployed. The Canadians have a C-130 aircraft and a P-8 aircraft. We also have access to, and we'll launch this evening, a C-130 aircraft from the New York National Guard to make sure that we have sufficient air assets up there. On the surface, we have the commercial operator that's been on site, and we're bringing additional surface search assets into play, which will also bring in some subsurface search capability. Last question, please. I understand from the operator that there was one pilot or submersible commander operator on board, and that there were 4 mission specialists on board is the term that the operator uses for it. So five total. You have to ask the operator what that means. What we're focused on is finding those 5 people. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for coming today. This does conclude this portion of the.
So we'll continue to follow this. Just a moment here. So I'm going to show you also, this is the website for OceanGate, the company that owns that sub and was conducting this undersea tour. And we'll just go to the home page. So here it says they have crewed submersibles for charter and scientific exploration. Obviously, this would have been some sort of a charter. There's a picture of the research and commercial vessel, I think, that they have here. This is the vessel that appears to be the one involved. And they've been involved in, a number of projects with the Titanic. What do they do? Well, site survey and inspection. It says from the comfort and safety of our multi-person subs, cross-functional survey and inspection teams can collaborate in real time as they directly observe and verify site-specific issues, et cetera, et cetera. Hydrographic survey, seafloor area mapping, data collection, site surveys, bridge and pontoon inspections. So they do a lot of different kinds of work with these submersibles. And here's a video that I'll bring up for you, giving you an indication of kind of what they do. Let me just bring this over. This is one of their videos, Cyclops 2 scanning. So you may recall that the those pictures of the Titanic that were recently released that showed in incredible detail, it's because it was scanned. And this is an animated video from OceanGate showing kind of just how that was sort of done. And now they're in the news again, but this time for an emergency. Back to the website for a moment. They also have a section on their website for media releases, latest news. Interesting, though, that at this point, there's nothing on here about this emergency that I can find anyway. So they released no statement at this point, at least not through their website. All I'm seeing here at this point is archaeology breakthrough, Titanic rapidly deteriorating, and new footage. And there is a phone number, so let's call them right now. We'll call OceanGate.
The number you have called is not assigned. Please check the number and try to call again. Le numéro de téléphone que vous avez composé n'est pas attribué. Veuillez vérifier le numéro et
So I don't know if you can hear that.
Unfortunately, we cannot complete your call as dialed. Please check the number and try your call again.
Well, I dialed the number correctly, but right now, no response. Looks like the number may have been disconnected. 1-425-249-2719, and that is their media line for OceanGate. No doubt they're being bombarded with phone calls from media, but tonight the line is disconnected. So as I say, we'll continue to watch this very carefully. If there is any new development during the course of the broadcast, if you hear about it, let me know, and I'll let everyone on here know. Message, come into the chat, share it in here, but I'll also continue to monitor from my end. And if I get news updates through the newswire here, I will let everyone know that way too. So we'll continue to look at this. Let's take another brief break. And when we come back, we will talk about the RCMP confirming that Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is under investigation for possible obstruction of justice. This is a criminal matter. And it's all related to that SNC Lavelin scandal that has now come back to haunt him. Don't go away.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so Justin Trudeau in hot water, has been in hot water for some time. We just didn't really know about it officially until today. It's been 4 years since Justin Trudeau was called out, and it was confirmed that he broke federal ethics laws by pressuring former Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould to intervene in the prosecution of Montreal-based SNC Lavelin. The RCMP has opened an investigation into those allegations of, or allegations related to that, of possible prosecutorial obstruction or obstruction of justice, if you will, in connection with the whole SNC Lavelin affair. So there was an freedom of information request filed by Democracy Watch co-founder Duff Conacher, and it was partially denied by the RCMP. He did get some documents back. There was a lengthy document that was entirely redacted, and that's because it is a matter that is still under investigation. So the investigators are not releasing all of the information. Now, I do have a copy here of that letter that was sent to the applicant for that Freedom of Information request. Oh, hang on. Wrong tab. Okay, so here it is right there. So this was the letter, the response from the RCMP to Duff Conacher. And in the highlighted section here, you see a review of the records revealed that this matter is currently under investigation. The records are subject to an exemption pursuant to subparagraph 16(1)(a) of the Act, a description of which can be found at, and then there's a link to that website page. It says, please note we have exercised our discretion and released some material to you. Once the investigation and any related court proceedings are concluded, you may resubmit your request. So, got something, and we did get confirmation that the RCMP is investigating this. And the Prime Minister is not out of the woods on this. So the last time that the RCMP actually came out and said anything about this was way back in 2019. And that's when the Mounties, or the RCMP, told the CBC that they were examining this matter carefully and said that they were going to take appropriate actions as required. Well, now we know that it's a full-blown investigation. And so what was the SNC Lavelin affair about? Well, you have to go back to February 2015, and the RCMP filed fraud and corruption charges against the company, SNC Lavelin, because of its connection with business dealings in Libya. So it took 3 years. 3 years later, the Public Prosecution Service of Canada declined a request by SNC Lavelin to negotiate a remediation agreement in connection with those charges. So that was in 2018. It was a deal that would allow the company to avoid a criminal trial in exchange for accepting responsibility for the crime, paying a fine, and agreeing to an oversight regime. And then that September, the then Attorney General, Jody Wilson-Raybould, came forward with claims that the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, had asked her to, quote, find a solution for SNC Lavelin. So because of that, it prompted her to ask if he was attempting to politically intervene or interfere with the matter. And Trudeau said, oh, no, I'm not. But there was a conversation between Raybould and Trudeau's assistant, and it was recorded and it was released. And that also, you know, created a political storm at the time, and it's still ongoing now because Raybould was discussing this, and it sounded in the conversation like there was still ongoing pressure for Raybould to sort of find a way to end the matter, because SNC Lavelin, of course, a company that was doing business with this, with foreign governments, with Libya, big money on the line, potentially jobs, and who knows what else was going on behind the scenes. But Justin Trudeau, he was determined to have something happen. It was pretty clear, and he did break ethics. He was in violation of the ethics code. So now we sit back and wait. We see what happens as a result of this. But it's been a long, long time. I don't know how long it takes to investigate something like this. I mean, how many years does it take? It's 2023 now. This has gone on for years, and yet no action taken. Justice delayed is justice denied the Canadian people. The better do something to address this in a meaningful way, because when people continue to see, and I'm editorializing here now, but when people continue to see this kind of action or inaction on behalf of, or on the part of, institutions like the RCMP, it erodes public trust and fuels ongoing speculation or accusations, or maybe even realizations of corruption. The time has come for action on this matter. It's long, long overdue. Either do something about it or explain why you're not. Already convicted on the ethics charges, but now possible criminality involved. And at least we're seeing that some sort of investigation is underway, but how extensive is that? We don't know, because the actual documents that were released completely redacted. That means everything blacked out. So the Canadian people still don't know, and won't know unless this thing goes to trial, and that evidence is released at that point, which is another reason we need the trial, so that we see the information. And there's a lot of money involved here as well. Hang on, I need to just gather a little bit more information here for you from my notes. I need just a moment to get organized, and I will be right back.
Fighting the Great Reset by leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
Okay, so I'm back. Yeah. So again, the profit organization, it's Democracy Watch. They filed this Access to Information Act request. It was last year that they did it. And then they got this document. It's 96 pages long. 86 of those pages were fully redacted. 86, basically the whole darn thing. Anything, of any substance was redacted in that 96-page document. Only 10 pages had any information that was left for the public to see. And so again, this all related to what appears to be the Prime Minister's attempt to pressure the then Attorney General to find a way to make these problems for SNC Lavelin go away. Because what was that about? Well, that was about the exchange of money, possibly bribes, in order to secure government contracts overseas. Big money. Big money. Libya, right? I mean, we don't know exactly what has happened over there. We don't know what the exact situation might have been. So lots of speculation, but we need facts. We need this thing laid out for the Canadian people. So when Wilson Raybould made the allegations, she then, against Trudeau, saying that she'd been pressured, she appeared before the House of Commons Justice Committee, and she testified there and said that she experienced a consistent and sustained effort by many people within the government to seek to politically interfere in the exercise of prosecutorial discretion in my role as the Attorney General of Canada in an inappropriate effort to secure a deferred prosecution agreement with SNC Lavelin. And among those people was Trudeau, who Wilson Raybould says tried to influence her decision and convince her not to pursue action against the engineering giant. SNC Lavelin is a big, big company. They do a lot of international work. And then ultimately, in the end, Trudeau ended up firing Wilson Raybould as the Attorney General. That also set off a firestorm. So this is another story that we will be following in the weeks and probably months, maybe even years ahead, because who knows how long it will take the RCMP to get to the bottom of any of this stuff, if indeed they ever do. And if they do, will they actually do anything about it? I suppose it depends on whether they think they can actually secure some sort of a successful prosecution. And it's very unfortunate for the Canadian people because why? Again, this just erodes more public confidence. It's good that we're finding out about it. It's unfortunate that it has taken this long. The length of time is unacceptable, in my opinion. I don't think that I see no reason for an investigation like this to have taken this long. And if there is action to be taken, I think that it's high time something was done about it. Long overdue. This is the kind of game that we see being played south of the border in the United States as well, where these prosecutorial efforts aimed at political figures seem to drag on forever. And then in the end, after all of the fanfare and the media attention and the ongoing stories and the spun up narratives and the counter narratives and all the drama and the stories that we get through the media at the end of the day, nothing ever seems to happen. I think there's more of a chance, maybe more hope that actual action might be taken here on the Canadian front, but in the United States, I think that justice system is the one that is honestly the most broken, even more broken than the Canadian side. At least there's still some sort of an investigation going on. We're going to have to hang tough, though, folks. Wait to see what happens. All right, hang on. Another quick break. When we come back, more stuff.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so I told you so. I told you. I said I wasn't sure, but I was pretty darn sure that Secretary of State Antony Blinken, during his visit to China, would actually be able to meet with President Xi Jinping. And, yep, sure enough, it happened. I told you. It wasn't clear if that was going to happen, but here it is. Here's the pic. Here's the two dudes. There they are. Told you. They met. Yes, they did. Which is a good thing because at least there's dialogue happening after all the saber rattling that we've seen. Honestly, on both sides, but I think really initiated by the United States. So they did meet today. An official with the U.S. Department of State confirmed that Blinken would meet with Xi, and they did. And this all happening as tensions continue to escalate between China and the United States. And much to my surprise, honestly, Blinken seems to have done what I never thought he would do or even try to do, but he seems to have dialed back some of that tension. And in a very surprising statement, he said that they don't want, the United States doesn't want any change to the status quo, that they don't support an independent Taiwan. That's always been kind of a murky area for the United States and their position on these on Taiwan, and its I guess even its sovereignty or what its status is with regard to sovereignty. China, looking to Taiwan as being part of China, and at one point, Joe Biden said that they would defend Taiwan militarily just recently, which gave further rise to the idea that we might be heading into an armed conflict with China. And then we saw Nancy Pelosi fly over to Taiwan against the wishes of China. It really got Chinese leadership upset. It was very inflammatory, and it was sending a message to China that, yes, indeed, the United States does see Taiwan as an independent country, and that the Chinese need to not try to meddle in there or take the country over. Well, today, Blinken kind of reversing position on this. It's an unexpected 180, compared to what Biden had to say about this not very long ago, just a number of months ago. But here he is.
I reiterated the longstanding U.S. One China policy. That policy has not changed. It's guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, the 6 assurances. We do not support Taiwan independence. We remain opposed to any unilateral changes to the status quo by either side. We continue to expect the peaceful resolution of cross-strait differences. On Taiwan.
So I'm surprised, honestly, that he went that far. There was also reference today during a news conference making reference to the Chinese spy balloons. And Blinken says it's kind of time to dial it back on the spy balloon rhetoric, which was really ramped up. I mean, the U.S. was talking about it a fair bit. The media was going crazy over all of that when these surveillance balloons, as Blinken calls them here, were making their way, drifting across the continental United States, even parts of Canada, and they shot a couple of them down. One was shot down over Canada. Well, here's the Secretary of State today.
Before I talk about the productive discussions that we had today and the agreement we just signed, Jen, if you'll allow me, I'd just like to briefly address the presence of the Chinese surveillance balloon in U.S. airspace. I spoke this morning with Director of the CCP Central Foreign Affairs Office, Wang Yi, to convey that in light of China's unacceptable action, I am postponing my planned travel this weekend to China. As you know, President Biden and President Xi agreed during their meetings in Bali in November that I would travel to Beijing to follow up on their discussions. We've been working across the U.S. government to prepare for a substantive set of discussions on issues that matter to the American people and to people around the world. And we've been engaging for some time with our counterparts in Beijing to prepare for these meetings. Yesterday, the Department of Defense announced that we had detected and were tracking a high-altitude surveillance balloon that remains over the continental United States. We continue to track and monitor the balloon closely. We're confident This is a Chinese surveillance balloon. Once we detected the balloon, the U.S. government acted immediately to protect against the collection of sensitive information. We communicated with the PRC government directly through multiple channels about this issue. Members of my team consulted with our partners in other agencies and in Congress. We also engaged our close allies and partners to inform them of the presence of the surveillance balloon in our airspace. We concluded that conditions were not conducive for a constructive visit at this time. In my call today with Director Wang Yi, I made clear that the presence of this surveillance balloon in U.S. airspace is a clear violation of U.S. sovereignty and international law, that it's an irresponsible act, and that the PRC's decision to take this action on the eve of my planned visit is detrimental to the substantive discussions that we were prepared to have. I told Director Wang that the United States remains committed to diplomatic engagement with China and that I plan to visit Beijing when conditions allow. In the meantime, the United States will continue to maintain open lines of communication with China, including to address this ongoing incident. Indeed, that's why we need direct and regular communications in the first place, and that's why it's critical that such lines remain open at all times to help avoid miscalculation and conflict. One final but important note. The world expects the United States and China to manage our relationship responsibly. And indeed, addressing many of today's global challenges, challenges that affect the lives of our people and people around the world, demands that we find a way to work together as well. The United States will continue to act in a way that reflects that responsibility. We look to our PRC counterparts to do the same. Now, the Foreign Minister and I just signed an important agreement that will guide our country's cooperation on science and technology in the years ahead. The agreement builds on one that we signed in 1992, which helped foster 3 decades of consequential collaboration. Our universities have conducted joint research on cancer and climate change. Our governments have worked together to reduce air pollution, to promote research and development on semiconductors, which power modern technologies from cars to smartphones. Our businesses have partnered on life-saving vaccines and treatments, like the collaboration between the U.S. pharmaceutical company Moderna and South Korean biotechnology company Samsung Biologics to manufacture a safe and effective COVID vaccine for the region.
Hi, I'm Matthew.
So both sides have agreed to more talks. They've decided that dialogue is a good thing. Blinken also raised a number of other concerns during his meeting with Xi, including the wrongful detention or exit bans of U.S. citizens in China, human rights conditions in Xinjiang, Tibet, and Hong Kong, and Chinese intelligence activities in Cuba. So both also discussed a range of other global issues, including the war in Ukraine, North Korea's escalating military presence, the saber rattling that's happening up there. And Blinken also went on to emphasize that the United States will, in his words, always stand up for our values, and went on to say that the U.S. will work with its allies and partners to advance the U.S. vision for a world that is free, open, and upholds the rules-based international order. And that is that catchphrase that continues to surface and continues to be used by NATO countries, by the West: rules-based international order. It's really a critical phrase to zero in on. Why? Because it really encompasses the idea or the ideology that is currently driving U.S. and really all Western powers' policies with regard to foreign policy. And that is that this new rules-based international order is such that it's their position that NATO countries, UN countries, not so much UN, but kind of the UN, NATO predominantly, that NATO countries make up the rules for the world. It's a rules-based international order. They make up the rules. all other countries are expected to fall into line. This is really the basis for what some might call a one world government. All the countries agree on a rules-based international order, and everyone plays by those rules. It creates an international community instead of having just kind of a law of the jungle or a common international common law, if you want to call it that, where everything is sort of ruled through natural etiquette. Rules of international fair play is sort of loosely agreed upon, or through treaties between country to country and a bunch of different rules between different nation states. No, it's one set of rules for all countries and everybody complies. And if you don't, then you're viewed as something almost of a rogue state, an outlier, someone to be disciplined and brought into line. So it's an important concept. It's an important thing. It is actually, in many respects, at the very heart of the conflict in Ukraine right now, because Russia, China, the BRICS nations, they're sort of on the other side of this, and they're saying, oh, no, we have our own rules. You don't get to impose this new rules-based international order on us. We are sovereign nations. You don't dictate to us. It's a more complicated concept than that. It's a more complicated issue than just that, and yet it really is just about that simple. So when you hear that phrase, that's what they're referring to. It's all the NATO countries, the Western allies, lining up beside each other saying, we make the rules, everybody else has to comply. That's what Blinken makes reference to today, but at least it seems some progress was made today on the diplomatic side. I'm relieved about that, surprised, because Blinken is very good at making war, destabilizing countries, going in and helping to set up the foundations for what you would refer to as color revolutions in foreign nations in order to facilitate even regime change. But here he is, the United States top diplomat, and I think he sort of did okay today. So I have to give credit where credit is due. I'm relieved. We've dialed back the rhetoric. There's still more room for more dialogue. I think that's a good thing. And I don't know exactly where that's going to leave Taiwan. That will be a discussion for another evening. Hopefully we can get an analyst on the program. Maybe we'll get Scott Ritter back. He's well versed in that matter, and he can address that for us, or maybe someone else. But we'll try to get some sort of analysis in the days ahead to see where we sit now with this situation in Taiwan. Because there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of concern that the United States was ready to square off against China over this Taiwan issue, and China threatening to go in and assert its authority, influence in Taiwan, the United States vowing to defend it. And then we've seen military exercises ramped up in there. We've seen, clashes between even ships going through the Taiwan Strait, South China Sea. Hopefully this is an indication of cooler heads finally prevailing. But a lot more work to be done. It's not a static situation. It's always fluid, and it's going to change over time. Here's Biden today in Palo Alto, California, addressing the climate crisis. We'll just pick up a little bit of this news conference, and hang on just a second here. Here he is. Hang on just a second here. Here we go. Okay.
It is my honor to
From the White
introduce
House.
President Joe Biden.
Thank you, China. Is that an introduction? Governor Newsom, I tell you what, it's nice to be here, as you said, working on something that's a positive thing going forward and not fixing something that happened very badly. We spent a lot of time in helicopters flying over areas that needed help. Folks, I want to thank Anna. Thank you, kid. You've been incredible. You've been a friend for a long time in the Congress when I was in the Senate, and you've done remarkable work. You partnered everything from protecting the environment to providing.
I wonder if you'll talk about the
improving
Queen
lives of the people in this district.
again.
And thanks to all the climate leaders that are here today. You know, we just visited the salt marsh, as you saw. We walked down to the end of the Safer Bay Project, and a public-private partnership that's harnessing the nature of our ability to do what this young woman in China did. You know, I always say, and I mean it sincerely, I've been around a long time in public life. I got elected when I was about your age, when I was 28 years old. And you know what? I've never been more optimistic. You and I were talking about that privately. I swear to God, I've never been more optimistic in my life. And the reason I'm optimistic is because of this generation. It's the best educated, the most engaged, the most involved, and the most consequential. They're in. Governor was telling me about when they announced the program, there's 3,000 slots and about 10,000 people immediately tried to sign on. Well, look, these wetlands act as a critical buffer between the rising tides and the communities at risk, protecting homes, property, and
I don't know. Okay.
against flooding. They also absorb carbon dioxide from the air, and we're right next to Route 101.
Enough. Yeah, he's talking about cars and trucks making carbon pollution and la, 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 la. Let's move on. So yeah, Blinken, at least he's saying the spy balloon chapter should be closed. Now, how about this issue with Dr. Hotez, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk actually as well, chiming in, telling Dr. Hotez, Mr. Pro-Vaccine, that he should debate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the issue of vaccines. So far, Hotez has refused. So he's actually pushing back on the issue. So there's been this massive Twitter battle that's been going on over this, because Hotez was called out in a recent interview that Rogan had with an anti-vax activist and challenger to President Joe Biden. So the dean of tropical medicine at Baylor College objected to Rogan's platforming Kennedy by linking to a Vice article that decried the interview as proof that Spotify is no longer applying the publishing rules on Rogan that they did when they decided to start putting advisory labels on podcasts that discuss the coronavirus, the pandemic. So then Rogan took offense at Hotez's comments and challenged him to debate Kennedy. So he put $100,000 on the table, says he would donate it to charity. And then billionaire investor Bill Ackman offered another $150,000. And the money has just continued to grow. And I don't know where we're at, how much money is on the table. I heard there might be as much as $1 million being offered up now, so that if Hotez would debate RFK Jr. on the issue of vaccines, this money, I guess, would go to charity, as I understand it. And now I guess there are accusations that Hotez is being harassed. Hotez, of course, is very pro-vaccine. RFK Jr. through the years has been very critical of vaccines. And not just the vaccines used for COVID, but all vaccines, including vaccines that he has in the past said cause autism. And so anyway, Totez, he's been pushing back now. And he says that he doesn't want to participate in the debate because he doesn't want to participate in the equivalent of a Jerry Springer show. So he was on MSNBC. Not surprising, right? But let's just bring up this clip. And here's what he had to say on
to
there.
what RFK Jr. and other anti-vax nuts have claimed. There is no connection between vaccines and autism, no connection, no established documented connection between vaccines and serious diseases or mass death. Vaccines tend to save lives across the board, do they not? That's what the peer-reviewed evidence overwhelmingly shows, does it not? And people are dying right now from COVID still because the evidence on COVID vaccines efficacy is being ignored or shouted down on social media.
Well, there's three or four moving parts to this. So I'm a vaccine scientist. I make low cost, patent-free vaccines for low and middle income countries. We made 100 million doses we made 2 vaccine prototypes that led to 100 million doses being administered in India and Indonesia, no patents, minimal strings attached. So we actually found a way to bypass the pharma companies, and yet RFK Jr. incessantly calls me a pharma shill when, if anything, our vaccines maybe kept Pfizer and Moderna out of markets in India and in Indonesia. So I don't understand that piece. And then the reason I got involved with RFK Jr. in the first place is I have an adult daughter, Rachel, who has autism and intellectual disabilities, and wrote the book Vaccines Did Not Cause Rachel's Autism, that refuted all of his false claims. And that's been, he's been kind of after me ever since then. And now he's at it again. But this time, Ilana, this time, Eddie, it's caused something really terrible, and that is during our COVID pandemic. I have a new book coming out that basically says 200,000 Americans needlessly perished because they believed the anti-vaccine disinformation and refused to take a COVID vaccine during our Delta wave and BA1 Omicron wave in 2021-22 after vaccines were widely available. So the point is, anti-vaccine disinformation, it's always done a lot of damage and harm, but now it's a lethal force in the United States. And that's why we have to have that discussion. And I offered to come and go on Joe Rogan again. I've been on a couple of times and have that discussion with him, but not to turn it into the Jerry Springer show with having RFK Jr. on.
Well, so it's sad because I said I'm so fed up with the debate me, because it's not really about the debate. If it was about finding out information, as you said, you've already written about vaccines and autism. You've already spoken and written about COVID vaccines. I think you've been on MSNBC and other channels hundreds of times since the start of the pandemic. People can hear your views and the evidence you bring to this. So they're not actually interested in evidence. And it saddens me that you're a man who basically has saved lives abroad with the vaccines you've developed, whereas RFK has contributed to a culture, a vaccine misinformation culture, that has led to the deaths, as you say, of hundreds of thousands of lives, and yet he's the one being celebrated by tech billionaires like Musk and Jack Dorsey, while you're being smeared and defamed. And I would say, I don't know if you've agreed to debate or not. My advice is not to, and people might find that surprising because I wrote a book about debate, but I just think there's a time and a place for a debate. I don't think a historian of World War II should debate a Holocaust denier. That's my analogy here. I don't think these debates between experts and cranks do anything other than elevate the cranks. So, contrary.
Well, it is a debate. It's ongoing in public. It's been going on all through the pandemic, whether people want to acknowledge that or not, whether the pro-pharmaceutical media mouthpieces want to acknowledge that or not. There is an ongoing debate within the court of public opinion, and a pretty extensive one at that. And if you haven't been paying attention, there are people out in the streets almost daily, and certainly every weekend for sure, in many major cities, both in the United States and Canada, especially Canada, still protesting today because of medical mandates, issues surrounding the government's handling of the pandemic. And even now there is still rules, laws in place, and a lot of people have concerns about the thing in the arms. So why not have a debate? And if the facts are on your side, then the facts are on your side. Lay out the argument And if you're going to do it on a program like Joe Rogan, where you have a massive, massive audience. And that's an opportunity, is it not, to address the skepticism head on? And if there's something to be debunked, just go ahead, lay out whatever you say the facts are, show us the data. As RFK Jr. has said, show me where I'm wrong. So show him where he is wrong. But hiding behind the skirts of an anchor on MSNBC so that you can avoid public scrutiny yourself makes me think that maybe you don't have a very strong argument to make. Maybe it's just because you're not a good debater. Maybe you're afraid. But I would say that it's most likely a situation where your information is going to have a hard time standing up to the scrutiny of the public when juxtaposed against the arguments coming from someone who has honestly been smeared, censored, belittled by the mainstream media since the beginning of the pandemic and even before. What are you afraid of, Dr. Hotez? That's what a lot of people want to know, including this guy who showed up at Hotez's home to ask him exactly these questions. Is this appropriate? Well, you could decide for yourself. I think to some degree it's maybe inappropriate to do what this guy did by tracking Hotez down at his home, but he was polite. Let's just see what happened. Hotez says he's being threatened and harassed. And this is one of the examples that some people are pointing to. You decide if this is harassment for yourself.
Okay. Oh, are you Peter Hotez?
I am. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Hey. So why are you not like going to debate RFK on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Oh, come on. That's harassing.
I'm just curious.
What?
Nothing hostile. Just curious.
I haven't said anything one way or the other.
I mean, are you planning on doing it?
He just invited me, so we'll see.
And I think you should, though.
Well, we'll give it some. Thought.
Okay. And what do you have to say to people who think they're vaccine injured?
Come on.
Anything for them?
Don't come to my house.
I mean, do you have anything to say to people that think? Do you have anything to say to people? Yeah. I mean, do you think vaccine injuries are real, Peter? Peter, it's just a question. Settle the science now. On a safari to go vaccinate more kids?
So again, you can decide. I mean, when you tell me, what are you saying here in the comments? Is that harassment? The question is harassing, Top Rock with question mark. Yeah. So, I mean, like he did go to Hotez's house. Is that appropriate to go to the man's home and approach him in that manner? I, as a reporter, if I was tracking down someone for a story, I have to admit, I would probably go to those lengths. I would be polite and I would ask for an interview, and I might even walk up with camera rolling if on public property. But yeah, I would potentially go that far to just ask a respectful question, not to go beyond that and harass. And if asked to leave, I would leave. But it's just a request for an interview, or in this case, in my view, a request to answer a question, especially in light of all the controversy and public attention that is being focused on this tonight. What else? What other comments are we getting? Hotez is part of Pfizer, says divine intervention. And Steve Harvey says, is this at his house? Yes, it was. It was at the Hotez home. And Jane says, there you go. Most professional doctors have said would answer the question. Maybe. Wendy says, not harassing, but inappropriate. Yeah. See, if I wasn't there in a professional capacity, I would never go to someone's home and do something like that. Now, as a reporter, yeah, if I couldn't get an answer to a phone call, I might stop by because, you know, I want to be thorough and give people an opportunity to speak for themselves. Definitely want to do that. So yeah, I probably would go to the home, but I would be respectful. I wouldn't get up in somebody's face not for something like that. And David says the jab pushers deserve more than tough questions at their houses. No pity. Yes and no, says Sandy. Sean DeMarco says it is harassment by going to his home, and I have no problem with that, he says. And M. Russell says, harass the bastard. Hotez more. Everyone tit for tat, he says. Steve Harvey says, harassment is a fine line. He made statements in public, questions asked is okay. Cheryl says, when you participate in evil, you deserve to be found everywhere. Sean DeMarco says, I don't care what happens with these demons. David Doyle says, if you speak publicly, especially in the States, you're free game. Okay. And Mountain Woman says, RCMP have just said no to investigating our king of China, JT. Is that a new development, Mountain? Let me just check. I don't know what that means after all the information coming to light. But I am checking for you right now. Here we go. Just being released. RCMP says it is not investigating allegations of political interference in the federal handling of criminal charges against engineering firm SNC Lavelin. So they issued a statement today, late this afternoon. Mounties have set the record straight, it says here, of possible political interference in the federal handling of that matter. And they're saying that a recent response to a public interest group's access to information request suggests that the Mounties were conducting a probe. Well, that's what the letter said. In 2015, as we know, SNC Lavelin Group and two of its affiliates, a construction company and SNC Lavelin International, both were charged with corruption of foreign public official and fraud. And that all was related to business deals that were being laid out in Libya. In other words, in order to secure the contracts over in Libya, SNC Lavelin was accused of lining the pockets or bribing officials over there in order to secure those contracts, which is against the law here. So RCMP says that its sensitive and international investigations unit conducted an assessment pertaining to those allegations of interference, which as those charges were laid against SNC Lavelin, then we know that Justin Trudeau apparently is accused of trying to intervene and put pressure on the then Attorney General, Jody Wilson-Raybould, to basically back off and not prosecute. And that turned into a huge political hot potato, a big issue. And then in this statement tonight, the RCMP says, as part of that review, the RCMP spoke with the collected information from a variety of sources and examined the matter in the most thorough, objective, and professional manner. After a comprehensive and impartial assessment of all available information, the RCMP determined that there was insufficient evidence to substantiate a criminal offense, and the file was concluded. So they're now saying that, yes, they did look into it. There wasn't enough there, so they closed the file. So there wasn't an agreement back in 2019. SNC Lavelin Construction entered a plea of guilty to a charge of fraud over $5,000 and paid a $280 million penalty. We know that. And all the rest of the charges were stayed. So in spite of that letter, and I'll bring that letter up again here. I think I still have it. Here it is. Let's take a closer look at that letter. So this was a letter from the RCMP to Duff Conacher from Democracy Watch. And it says, this is in response to your request under the Access to Information Act, which was received by this office July 22nd, 2022, to obtain, as it did in February 2021, in a letter to the RCMP, Democracy Watch again requests records with regard to its decision made concerning the examination and any subsequent investigation that have been undertaken, and And then right here in this highlighted section, it says, a review of the records revealed that this matter is currently under investigation. Right there. The records are subject to an exemption pursuant to subparagraph 16(1)(a)(1) of the Act, a description of which can be found. And then there's the link. Please note that we have exercised our discretion and released some material to you. Once the investigation and any related court proceedings are concluded, you may resubmit your request. So they're saying that it was going to go to court. If there, well, it says if there was, that there, I guess, maybe go to court. Once any related court proceedings are concluded, you may resubmit your request. They're saying there was an investigation. It's potentially before the courts. Now tonight they're saying, no, that didn't really happen. No, nothing going on here. File closed. So conflicting information. It says here, please be advised that you are entitled to lodge a complaint with the Information Commissioner concerning the processing of your request within 60 days of receipt of this notice. In the event you decide to avail yourself of this right, your notice of complaint should be addressed to, and then they give the address. And I'll tell you this, if the investigation has concluded, why didn't they give us more information? Maybe because the investigation file is closed. I don't know. And then if they're not going to pursue the investigation, and if it's not going to go to court, then I guess maybe they feel they're not obligated to release the information they compiled during the course of their investigation, which the investigation led ultimately to no conviction, nothing. Again, a big, giant, big, empty black hole of nothingness at the end of this whole damn thing. And the public never even informed that the investigation, first of all, was ever really officially ongoing. And then was never really told that the investigation had been concluded. But I guess the RCMP isn't necessarily obligated legally to inform the public that they're conducting any such investigation, let alone tell the people that it's concluded. But I would say, in a matter of this scale and importance, that they probably should have informed the public. I think it's in the public interest to do so, if for no other reason, to try to maintain and hopefully even restore some confidence in the institution of the RCMP. Unacceptable. Excuse me, but excuse them. Unacceptable. The public has a right to know, and this is me editorializing again, especially in a matter such as this, of this scale and this importance. The public has a right to know what the heck is going on. Not so much with what SNC Lavelin did. I mean, the public has a right to know what's going on there to some degree as well, because this is a company that is tied into government. It is definitely a company that's engaging in these public-private partnerships, as they love to call them, in this corporatocracy that we have, this fascistic form of economy. So the public has some degree of right, to know there what this company is up to, what its practices are. And if they're going overseas to other countries to bribe public officials in other countries to secure contracts, it's entirely inappropriate. And it's against the law here to do that. So they ended up paying a $280 million fine. But that doesn't excuse the behavior of the prime minister. Guilty on the ethics breach, we know that. And if he's guilty on the ethics breach, doesn't that then tell us that there was a situation where the prime minister had basically overreached, overstepped, engaged in activity that, if unethical, certainly worth additional scrutiny to see if it was illegal? And I guess there was some sort of an investigation, but wouldn't you want to pursue that even further? If he's found guilty on the ethics side, that tells me that there's a whole lot of smoke. That means there's probably a whole lot of fire there. So how do you find him guilty on the ethics side, but then determine that there isn't enough evidence to pursue any kind of criminal charge against him? So you acted unethically, but not illegally. That doesn't wash. Not with me. I think at that point, if you're found guilty of an ethics breach, which carries no criminal penalty, but if you're found guilty on the ethics side, on the same set of circumstances, the same set of evidence, then I think that's probably enough for the RCMP to proceed and actually lay a charge, and then let the courts decide as the evidence is laid out, and put this guy, hold his feet to the fire on this. How many times did we see protesters or even people just out walking their dogs charged during the pandemic, their rights taken away, stripped from them, and then when they were issued the tickets and they challenged that with the officers, the bylaw officers who were handing out these tickets at the direction of various levels of government, honestly, various levels of government, not just municipalities or the provincial governments, but obviously this, coercion was flowing downhill. How many people received tickets, told the officers, or went to court and even challenged these things, but before they got to court said, wait a minute, this is a violation of my rights, or I'm innocent because X. And they received these, in most cases, fines for like $880. And then what was the response? Well, you'll just have to go to court and the courts will have to decide. That's up to the courts. Just away you go now. Stop walking your dog, get back in and lock yourself down. Don't walk on the beach. The beach is all locked off. You're not allowed to go in the park. Oh, and sorry, but here's an $880 ticket for letting your kids play on a swing set in the park. How many people received tickets like that? And when they challenged it at all, they were said, oh, no, well, you better go to court. You'll just have to figure that out in court. You can tell the judge, tell it to the judge. But when JT found guilty on the ethics side, and now, we closed that investigation, the RCMP says tonight. We shut that down. Nothing to see here. No, not enough evidence. No problem. Yeah, he's guilty on the ethics thing, I guess. But for us, nothing. It was no big deal. Nothing to see. Oh, and when we said there was an that was a mistake. Yeah, just no, not really. No investigation. What the heck is that about? Flip-flop on an investigation, and the one memo they said, we can't give you the information because it's under investigation. And then that's embarrassing to the prime minister. So what do we get now? A statement tonight saying, oh, well, actually, no, the investigation's it's all shut down. And so we're going to get the information then? Are they going to unredact those documents? Don't count on it. No, we're not going to see those redactions unredacted. 96-page document, 86 of which blacked out. Are they going to uncover those, release that to the public? Nope. I guarantee it. Not now, because there will be no trial. Therefore, no public disclosure. We'll remain in the dark as to what was in those documents, but it was important enough to black it all out. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to undermine confidence in the government further, but it isn't so much just the government, it's the Prime Minister himself. And honestly, this will just further erode public confidence in the RCMP and the government itself. This is a huge mistake. Just like the issue of the debate over the vaccines between Dr. Hotez and RFK Jr. Just lay it all out. Let's hear the information. Let's find out what's going on. What are you afraid of? Hey, if JT didn't do anything wrong, then let's deal with it in the courts. Let's get the information out. Now, I guess if the investigation by the RCMP leads to a place where it really reveals that, oh no, there isn't enough evidence to proceed with any kind of criminal charges, then I guess they don't have any choice. They have to drop it. But again, just once again, the fact that he was found guilty on the ethics breach tells me that there's sufficient evidence there to warrant the laying of charges, and then the courts can decide. And JT, tell it to the judge. Be right back.
Fear not the storm, for truth is on our side. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So wow, what a strange development on that story. All kinds of media tonight reporting that JT is under investigation. Everybody picking up the story, mainstream media, independent media. Just look what's going on Twitter tonight as a result of this. And the narrative, the Twitter storm has not shifted direction yet, because this is just breaking news that we just brought you, where the RCMP is saying, oh, no investigation here. Not true. We're not really investigating the Prime Minister. But look, Canada Proud right here. RCMP has confirmed they are criminally investigating Justin Trudeau and Bill Morneau for obstruction of justice relating to the SNC Lavelin Affair. Norman Spector says the RCMP's letter confirms it is investigating the allegation that Trudeau, Morneau, some members of their staff, and Michael Wernick obstructed justice by pressuring then Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould to stop the prosecution of SNC Lavelin. And more National Post. RCMP reportedly investigating Liberals' SNC Lavelin affair over obstruction of justice. Anthony Furey. Concerned Canadian, commenting, we not only deserve to know, now we demand to know the facts. What Trudeau appears to have forgotten is he is accountable to us, the Canadian citizens. We hold the real power. And he's from the Niagara Independent here, this saying the case for a full-blown investigation of the Trudeau government's role in this blows the countdown of 5 critical issues, la, 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 la. And, this is an international story because it involves Libya, payola, in order to secure giant government contracts overseas. Trudeau, poster boy for the whole Klaus Schwab, WEF, globalist UN Agenda 2030 agenda, right? So all eyes are always on Trudeau. Here he is, Canada's globalist prime minister, promoter of the world's first post-nation state, that is Canada, a country that he says has no real culture or identity, getting off again. Getting away with it, basically, is what's happened here. Fired the Attorney General. Fired her. This is an Attorney General that was pursuing the SNC Lavelin matter. And then, yes, there was. I remember the phone call. I remember the recording. I think it was Gerald Butts, Trudeau's assistant, advisor, telling Jody Wilson-Raybould, do you know how the Prime Minister gets over these things. It's sad. Canadians deserve better. The country needs better. The country needs a cleansing of this. We need full disclosure. We need to know what's going on. Wildfire situation tonight. Let's take a look briefly, because we've got our friends in the U.S. still concerned about air quality down there, but I think things have been improving. 77 active wildfires tonight in Alberta. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 8. Only about 18 considered out of control. That's almost half of where we were at even, a week ago. So they're definitely making progress, and a lot fewer flames on the map here tonight. And I believe out in Nova Scotia, all those wildfires are now considered under control, all the remaining fires that they have out there. And back to the Dr. Hotez, RFK Jr. debate over whether they should have a debate. This is Dr. Peter McCullough. He stated that if invited, he will debate Peter Hotez on the Joe Rogan Experience about vaccines. So McCullough, of course, is a world-renowned doctor who worked for Baylor University Medical Center at the same time as Dr. Hotez before he was fired back in 2021 because of his position on the COVID vaccines. So the debate rages on, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think there's any way Hotez is going to cave in. And, on the pro-vaccine side, I'm not surprised to see that the mainstream media is lining up to defend and support Dr. Hotez. And in the course of doing so, really, I think conducting another full-scale, full-frontal assault on free speech. Here's CNN.
Today, $100,000 to debate Democratic presidential candidate and anti-vaxxer Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on his podcast. Is this even a debate worth having? I mean, I've had Dr. Hotez on this program many times, and he was one of so many, experts in the field of virology and so on who helped the public get through the COVID pandemic. But what do you think? Should he do that kind of a debate?
No, he should absolutely not. And I would say Dr. Peter Hotez is a lifelong public servant. He worked in a low-cost vaccine for developing countries. The man has devoted himself to science. He's a pediatrician. He is an incredibly good man. We both know him. RFK Jr. is a crank and an anti-vaxxer. And we all know why these very wealthy tech bros are pumping him up at the last minute, because they know, or they're pretty sure, that Republicans are going to nominate a very unelectable candidate in general. It's very possible they'll elect Trump, or they'll nominate Trump. And then they are trying anything they can to prevent Biden from getting reelected. And so they're propping up this third-party candidate. I mean, this is not rocket science. This is what's happening, and it's really, really clear. I mean, you listen to RFK Jr., the stuff he says, it doesn't even make any sense. And there's no reason that Dr. Peter Hotez should even bother with it. He's elevating him.
He's a feared. He's a chicken.
Yeah, Essie, how do you think that
chicken. He's a feared. He's a feared. Yeah. And all the people in the Hotez camp, sorry, but your narrative's falling apart. That's why. Chicken. Oh, that's a parrot. Whatever. doesn't matter. They're all parroting the same lines, aren't they? And now they're afraid. So they're saying, oh, no, we would never, not going to legitimize a crank by engaging in debate. No, that's just an excuse.
Fighting the Great Reset. By leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. What else do we have for you tonight? Boy, we're kind of making our way through these stories at a pretty rapid clip tonight. Oh, there was this Chicago mass shooting. Honestly, I don't know what to make of this. I'm going to show it to you. It's just, actually, it's disturbing to me. This social media post. It illustrates the state of today's society, and it is sad. So this is what went on at the scene of this emergency. Just look at this. What the heck are these? What is this? So they're twerking up against an ambulance while these are women twerking. The guy on top of the ambulance throwing a football. It's like a party, and people have been shot. And guys behind the women twerking. Doing anything now. Trying to engage in sex act. What the? Now they're up on the hood of the ambulance twerking. What is this? I'm about to get up here. Let me get up here. As Walter Cronkite used to say, that's news, but that too is reality.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so instead of going to the phones tonight, we'll put the link to join us live with your camera in the comments section, and you can join the conversation here and exercise your right to free speech. So join me now right here on the Maverick News channel. I'll also put this in the description over here in the Rumble chat that now has gone out to Facebook, YouTube, and other locations. And let me get over here and put this in the chat. Here's the link. So to join the conversation, click on this link and go live with your webcam. And there's the link. And there you go, folks watching on Rumble. Join now, join often. And we'll put you on the program with us here tonight. Instead of going to the phones, we'll get to see your bright, smiling face. And let me just add this over here as well. And hopefully we can get some callers in. It usually takes a minute or two for people to join us. Here we go. Oh, let me just back this up. Oops. There we go. I have to get on the other channel. Sorry about that, folks. Just bear with me, and we'll get the callers in here tonight. Yep. That goes into channel 2. And we've got a sizable audience. Just a reminder that if you're watching, please consider subscribing over on the Rumble channel, which is a platform where we're growing like crazy over there. Like and share over on Facebook. Please subscribe as well if you are watching on any of our YouTube channels. That helps us immensely. If you do subscribe on YouTube, make sure you hit the notification bell. Subscribing alone doesn't really do very much. You have to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Then they'll notify you when we produce and post new videos or when we're going live. And that's especially useful when we're in a breaking news situation. And again, there's the link to join the conversation. And we'll see if we get any takers. If you want to join me here on the program, if you want to comment on any of tonight's show content or any of the news stories that we're discussing here, or honestly, I'll let you discuss anything you want here on the program, just click the link and join me live right now here on the Maverick News Channel. Let's take a brief break, and when we come back, we'll take our first callers.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Okay, I'm back, and we have dodgy Git in the back room, but your devices are not connected, so I can't see you or hear you. You need to connect a webcam and or a microphone, or use the webcam microphone so that we can actually put you up on the screen. But right now, can't get you. It looks like we're coming online there now, and here we go. Let's bring our first caller. Hello, and dodgy Git is gone. I guess he's camera shy. So much for that. We'll see if we get another caller up. I did put the link in the chat window there, and let me just I'll put the phone system online as well. Give people the option to phone in, and we'll see if we get anybody over there. I know that some people are just camera shy. They don't want to show their face. So let's see what callers we get. And let me just take another brief break here while I just get that phone system fired up.
Fighting the Great Reset. By leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
Okay, we've got Leo. Sir, how are you this evening?
I'm all right, Rick. I was just in Chatham.
Oh, well, there you go. Sorry I missed you.
Dropping off a component from work to a place in Chatham that needed it really fast. So I took my personal truck and went for a ride.
Cool. So what do you think of this whole Justin Trudeau on again, off again investigation situation?
This should have been on again right from the get-go. What is this, year 4?
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Jody Rayson Wilbo wasn't just the Attorney General. She was female and she was Native. Okay, and he boasted how he's equal rights and everything else. We've seen the way he treated women in his caucus, right?
Yes. Yeah, ongoing issue, the way he treats women. We've seen that since he was, even a teacher, if you know what I mean.
Well, I hear stories out there, right? So they're probably true.
Yeah. Do you think this will erode
the RCMP to let up on it?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you
the
think
RCMP to let up on it? It's wrong.
Yeah. Do you think it will further erode public trust in the RCMP and government?
How eroded could it get?
Right? Yeah, there isn't much room left.
It's eroded. There's no room left, and it's pretty sad that he's still sitting there.
Yes, it is.
Right. Can name a couple of them. We had that female there. What was her name?
Sorry, you were breaking up a bit there, but
lasted about as long. Yeah, we had the female prime minister there for about 10 seconds.
In Canada?
Yeah, remember what was her name?
Oh yeah, the conservative.
Joe Clark.
Conservative. Why can't I think of her name? She wasn't prime minister very long. Kim Campbell. Yeah.
Kim Campbell, that's her. She lasted as long as a can of Campbell soup.
Yeah.
Right. So, I don't get it. I don't get it politically. The NDP are to blame for a lot of it because they could call for a vote of non-confidence and they could have did that a long time ago. The longer they hold out, the harder it's going to be for them to get any votes in the next election, because people will remember.
I agree with that too. Yeah, I mean they're propping him up, and I don't fully understand why, except of course that it gives them more power than they've probably ever had as a party, right? It's the tail wagging the dog.
Exactly. Thank God for shows like yours that will make people remember the NDP and what they've done, to this great country when it comes time for election, right? So, but your platform's I'm sure it's gonna tell the truth, which it always does. Right?
And have you been following at all this debate over whether Dr. Hotez should debate RFK Jr.? Any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I've been following it. You've been on my Bluetooth for the whole journey today. Yeah, he is a chicken, and he probably took the chicken shots. He should debate it. There's a lot of money up for grabs for charity. What do you got to lose?
Exactly, I agree.
If he's so right about what he stands by, then debate it.
Yeah, I mean the information is the information. It's if it's all supposed to be based on science, then what are you afraid of? Show the data and show the statistics, prove your point, and call it a day. What's to be afraid of?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Not funny that his kid has autism, but it's pretty funny that JFK Jr., whatever his name is, RFK. he's all about linking the vaccines to autism, right? And here's a doctor who has a kid that has autism. So it would be an interesting debate, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, Hotez seems like a bit of I've watched some of his videos, and he just seems like a character to me. He doesn't seem serious. I don't remember what the issue was exactly, but almost a year ago now, he did some video that I took note of, and I did a whole segment about him because it was conflating information. I have to go back and find out what it was about, but it seemed to me at the time to be completely ridiculous. I don't think he's in my opinion, he doesn't seem like a serious scientist or a serious doctor. He's been just kind of acting like a shill for big pharma, but and that's probably why he's afraid to debate, because hey, he's not going to be able to stand up to the scrutiny.
Yeah. Even that the CBC doctor there, the guy with the big nose. Remember, every day he was on there. What was his name?
I don't know who you're referring to.
The CBC guy, Doctor. He had a messed up name.
Anyway,
Bogosh, Dr. Bogosh.
Okay.
Remember him?
No, I don't. I don't watch much CBC. So,
well, in the beginning of it all, he's their go-to doctor, right? And it reminds me of that. He's the guy who knows it all, right? Dr. Bogosh. Well, you haven't heard of him anymore, or that Tam.
Teresa Tam. Yeah, well, they've kind of faded away, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, they'll creep out when the next one pops up. But it's funny, I seen a sign today on Tecumseh Road on my way to work, a pharmacy that's still offering the shots, the boosters, the boosters.
Yeah.
You know, here we are. We got a government that says that we're out of the scamdemic and the rest of it. Not so much a government, but this World Health Organization saying it's all done, everything's done. But you still got these pharmacies selling, right?
Yeah. Oh, here's Harry. He says that I have a seat at the WEF. Okay, Harry,
Really?
thank you. Yeah, I didn't know. I hope they have. If I have a seat at the WEF, I want one of those little nameplate things because they're really cool.
Sure.
I'd go for sure. I'd sit there as long as I get the nameplate. It makes me feel very official.
Yep.
I have a seat at the WEF. Okay.
Yeah, and as for the five people down in the bottom of the ocean right now, they got, what was it, 72 hours worth of air, or
somewhere between 70 and 96, so less than 96 now for sure. But yeah, I don't know, that not looking good.
It's not looking good. You know, if you want to live longer, you're gonna have to kill somebody. Sucking up too much air.
Oh my God, Leo, that's a terrible thought.
Hey, when it comes down to survival, right? We've seen people crash in the Andes and have to eat each other to survive, right?
Oh man, okay. All right, that's terrible. Oh, I don't even want to think about that. I'm sorry.
They made a movie out of it.
I know. It's true. It actually happened. It's terrible.
It happened.
Oh
right,
my goodness.
When it comes to survival, people do some crazy ass shit, Rick.
That is true. That is true, Leo. Yeah.
But I don't think I think something happened down there. But who are we to be exploring? Who are we to be exploring 2.5 miles below, in the water, 2.5 miles deep? Who are we?
Oh, I know. That's incredible. I mean, you have to understand that if you go down in a submersible to that level to go visit, see the Titanic, that's dangerous.
100%.
It is. So, and Patrice is joining us now live. Hello, Patrice. How are you this evening?
Hello. Hi, Leo.
Hey, Patrice.
Hi, Leo. I love you so much. I love you. I love your passion. Honestly, since the first day I heard your voice, I always knew you were an angel off this earth.
Oh, easy.
You are a really beautiful person. And I really get angry when people put you down because you're outspoken. And you know why they do that? Because they're not able to be like you. And that is their insecurities.
You know what?
When you speak out, you are doing God's work.
Well, you know what? I don't think it's God's work. I think it's sober thinking. I don't drink much, right? Maybe 3 times a year. And I don't drug. I'll smoke a joint maybe twice a year. It's sober thinking. People need to think on their own.
Absolutely. But we've all been conditioned in so many ways. And I've been conditioned. I came from an Irish country. I came here when I was 19. And, I conformed to the Canadian way and absolutely love this country. Absolutely. I adore it.
Me too.
This is my home. And it was so weird because, Irish people are always like, they want to go back home to their homeland. No, when I set foot in Canada to visit my sister who had emigrated, I felt like this was home. And when I realized it was home, that's when I realized I had to come live here. And I have had a wonderful life here, a beautiful life. 1 second, my phone is doing something. I have had a beautiful life. But today I watched, what was really disappointing is that we're not getting all the information. And you're doing your work and Rick is doing his. And I adore Rick. He saved me through the fake demic so much because I was recovering from surgery. And I could not understand what was going on. But today on Redacted, they put up a show, which is everyone on the Maverick family needs to watch. I'm not sure, Rick, if you saw it today.
I didn't see it today, no.
Well, it's really, really good. I'm telling you, you have to see this. It not only infiltrates how the war should never have started, but it shows what Trudeau is doing to sell our country. And it is a very important show. It's only I think 52 or 54 minutes long, maybe 45. It's not a long show today on Redacted, but it's very important. And
I like
really
Clay.
Unfortunate that we're not seeing this.
Well, you
absolutely
can
review it. Absolutely. I love what they do over there on Redacted. It's a great show.
Yeah,
it is. It is. They got millions of people following.
They come from all angles. They bring on all different kinds of people. They're bipartisan, very much, but at times, sometimes we know they're on the right side. But they bring the proof. They don't sit there and bullshit. They just show the evidence. And they have people on the ground now, especially in the south of the border with the little ones. And they have their own investigators doing work there, which is absolutely brilliant because that's my passion. My passion is to save the little ones because it's gone on for far too long. And we have to do it. We can't stop, And
see, now you're doing God's work.
I am. But no, you're doing it too, Leo, as is Rick, because this is all community.
I don't look at it as God's work, even when I'm out helping the homeless and the food banks and stuff like that. I never once thought of it as God's work. I just thought of it as the right thing to do for people, for humanity, right? And I just couldn't go even
the reason
even
you
today.
Do that, Leo, you have to understand, not everyone was born with a soul. That's why not everyone is going to leave this world the way they should. When you're born with a soul, you cannot tolerate behavior that is not with love and heart.
I look at it like this, Patricia. Every day that I live Patrice, every day that I live is a good day. Okay, but I can't live if I don't do something good for somebody else. And I don't care if it's a total stranger. Okay, I wake up in the morning thinking of what I'm going to do good for somebody else today, every day.
And that is,
and if I can't, if I can't do that?
That is in your soul, though, Leo. You have to understand that you're just not born with that. God has given you the gift of that in your soul. Your soul will aspire to not tolerate ignorance, to not tolerate abuse, to not tolerate tyranny.
Yeah.
Your soul is on this earth to help others become better. And that is your work on this earth. That is the job that you were on this earth to do.
And Patrice, what do you think of this investigation that was on and then off and now off? Now it's off again, on again, off again with Trudeau. What do you make of that?
Well, seriously, Rick, I could go on and on about that. He is selling our country. He is not a Canadian to begin with. I'm not a Canadian. I came to this country when I was 19 from Northern Ireland. But in my heartstrings, what I see with the turd is he is infiltrated. He sold his soul. How do I say this in a better way? He sold his soul to the WEF. And now, is the WEF even an organization? Because they were never elected. So I don't even know who these people are. Like, seriously, am I supposed to be an uneducated, stupid person? I'm not stupid. But like, why are people just giving into it? Why do you think they keep going back to the Ukraine? Russia was trying to save this whole war at the very beginning. And it makes no sense why we're in this war. And now Trudeau, the turd, is selling us without our knowledge. And if you watch Redacted, which I watched today, which was very upsetting, very, very I have to walk because I'm still upset about it. I was very upset about watching this because Redacted does get the best information. And I don't trust any media, but I do trust Redacted.
Yeah,
I do to a point too. There's a lot. Okay, I like Redacted. I like Clay and Natalie, but there's a lot of platforms out there that want to get you infuriated, okay, and upset. Okay, and I don't buy it.
They're not one of them though, Leo. You have to
No,
understand.
I've seen some of their
the
shows.
Two of them argue. When they together,
I'm
they
not saying
argue
that
and they are respectful with each other.
They're
and
great.
I like
they're
that.
Great journalists. They're probably the best journalists out there besides Rick.
No,
Walker.
I highly respect these people. I respect Rick. Like I hold the two of them on the same. Because I know Rick won't bring us bullshit, and if he does, he will apologize.
Yeah,
so
I've watched
bullshit.
Redacted. I've watched a lot of Redacted. A lot of it's spot on, but some of it leaves me pissed off at the end of the day when I watch it. Right, and I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't be watching.
You know why, Leo? Because you want all answers right now, and you can't get them right now because you know Redacted knows more information than they're able to tell you. And you know they can't do it because they will be removed from YouTube. And that's the reason. So you can get pissed off at them because they are telling you the truth.
No, not
there's
pissed
only
off
so
at
much
them.
truth that they can get to you.
Pissed off at the stories, right? Some of the stories, I'm like, really?
Yeah, maybe you're not interested. Me too. Sometimes I go, you know what? I don't want to hear this nonsense right now. I'm not into it. I don't want to see what the Russians are doing in Russia. And really, I don't, because at the end of the day, it's like the truth. And I know it's the truth, so it's boring to me.
In the beginning with the conflict of Russia and Ukraine, I watched a lot of Redacted, and a lot of things on Redacted was this war is only going to be 6 months. The Russians are going to take it hands down. You got that Colonel, what's his face, that's always on the show.
Colonel McGregor.
Colonel McGregor. He's got a great panel of people, a lot of educated. They got educated people, great investigative reporters in the background, right? But here we are. It's not 6 months. What are we in? Year and a half now?
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same shit over and over and over. And that pisses me off. Right. I was hoping for a quick end to this in the Ukraine, and I don't see it happening right now.
No, it's not going to end. Like the fact of the matter is, we've all been sitting around like stupid little wallflowers waiting for the war to end. When it began, and we thought, oh, 30 days it'll be over, but it's not over in 30 days. When you look at Redacted today, you'll see exactly where I'm coming from, because I felt at the very beginning something's not right about this. And I don't understand why we're all sitting around waiting for the war to end. The war is not going to end. This
Right.
is going to be like, just like COVID. COVID's never going to end. COVID will be around like the flu for the rest of our lives. But we're never going to deal with it the same way that we dealt with it, because we know it's just like the flu.
So let me just play this little clip here with Vladimir Putin, saying that they never rejected peace talks.
Exactly. You're going to pull that up because that is very important.
Yeah, so let's play this. It says, "Dear friends,
Россия никогда не отказывалась от переговоров. Вот хочу обратить ваше внимание на то, что при содействии
with the assistance of President Erdogan, as you know, Turkey hosted a whole series of negotiations between Russia and Ukraine to develop and build trust, as you mentioned, and the preparation of exact text of the treaty. We never agreed with the Ukrainian side that this agreement will be confidential, but we never showed it before, nor commented on it. This draft of the treaty was initiated by the leader of the negotiation group from Kiev. He put his signature there. He holds the agreement up. He put his signature there. It exists. It was called Treaty of Permanent Neutrality and Security Guarantees of Ukraine. About the guarantee, about which you said, my dear friend, President of the Republic of South Africa, there are 18 articles. Moreover, there is also an addendum to it. And they like you, I won't even talk about it. They apply to the armed forces and touch other things. Everything is spelled out. Up to amount of units of military equipment and the personnel of the armed forces. Here is the document. It is initialed. But the Kiev delegation signature is there. By the Kiev delegation signature there. Well, after we, as promised, withdrew troops from Kiev authorities, in the same way owners usually do, threw it away to the garbage dump of history. Let's say, carefully trying to phrase it intelligently. And then that's the end of that clip. So what that was is you have this delegation of African leaders, and they're there on a peace mission. He's showing this document, which was a draft peace agreement, which guaranteed the existence of Ukraine, provided it remain a neutral country, and allowed them to keep a limited military force, spelling out specifically what kind of armaments they would be permitted to have and how many personnel in their military, and that could have brought an end to the war. And yet it was essentially a draft agreement. And then when Russia withdrew troops, they threw the agreement out. And that's because we know that the U.S. intervened, and we also had Britain intervene and tell them that they didn't want a peace deal. So the whole thing was rejected. But there he is. He brought the receipts, as they're saying tonight. Putin brought the receipts. He's showing the document to the world, and yet that story is not receiving any attention on mainstream media here in the West at all. What are your thoughts, guys?
My thoughts is Scott Ritter would be the great guy to bring on. He had the weapons of mass destruction defunct, okay? The aluminum tubes in Iraq, okay? All that bullshit. He refuted it all. It was never there, and it still ain't there today, right? So the UN will lie to get what they want. The Americans, obviously, and the British lied about the initial invasion to invade Iraq with the weapons of mass destruction because they never did exist, right? So they'll lie about Russia wanting peace. I'm sure Russia wanted peace. If I do recall, Ukraine and Zelensky didn't want peace. They rejected any peace deal, remember?
Leo.
Yep.
When you look at the report and you see Vladimir, not Zelensky, Putin, sorry. When you see Putin speak, I swear to God, that man has like Botox all over his face because he has not aged. And he stays in the same frame that he has for the last, since I've been watching him, and I've only started studying politics in the last 5 years. So he has not aged.
That's the vodka.
Well, maybe it is the vodka. That might be the one pure thing that we should all drink to keep longevity. But
I look the same as I'm 53 years old, and I could show you pictures of me at 43 years old. I look exactly the same as I did at 43 years old.
I turned 59 on Wednesday, on the summer solstice. I turned 59. And you know what? I'm scared to death. It's like, holy crap, I'm 1 year off of 60. But I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Last week we were talking about aliens and technology and everything else. Right?
Yep.
I'm going to show you. You guys want to see something? You guys want to see technology? I started in this trade 33 years ago, and it was all G code, and that was a big thing, G code. You want to see some technology?
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see it. I'm going to take you in my shop. Okay, this is like the Spaceship Enterprise. This is some serious shit. This is the machine we just put in.
I gotta look at my TV.
I'm going to show you the old stuff.
What's that?
This is a CNC machine. Look at the size of this thing. Stand up on the bridge. Stand up on the bridge. Stand up on the bridge here. I want to show these guys the size of this. No, stand up on the bridge. Stand up on the bridge. Get up on the bridge. Get to the controller. This is just one machine.
That's big.
The controller. Okay.
That's huge.
This does 5 different jobs on a pallet exchange. It's huge. Okay. And 33 years ago, when I just got into this trade, we didn't have technology like this. Not even close.
So is that what? Is that a 5-axis? Is that a 5-axis machine, Leo?
The green machine called the Parfit.
Yeah.
Made in Italy.
And so right now you're manufacturing in there a lot of parts for the auto industry as they transition to the production of electric vehicles.
Retrofitted, updated with a German controller, Heidenheim. I came from bridge ports and lathes and manual machines with no control. Everything was done by blueprint.
Yeah.
Now everything's done by computer. That machine right there is $3.5 million. Just one machine. We got about 10 more coming in here.
And that's all. And you're humming there, right? You've got a lot of work.
I got a lot of work. I got a shit ton. Me, I'm special. I'm like special ed. And then when we're not busy, I don't even have to be here. Like I took 3 days off last week. I worked 36 straight days in a row, and I took 3 days off last week. I took Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Came back today. I walked in. I said, I don't even want to be here. They said, well, we got work. Well, if there's work, I'll do it, right? But there's more than enough people to do the work. That's the thing, right? So my boss says, get everybody lined up, and you can beat feet, right? I get to go home, and I get paid so many hours right off the hop, right? So if I come in, it's 4 hours, 20 minutes, or if I'm here for an hour or two, right?
Yeah.
Keep
And and most of the work you're getting is in the auto industry right now. Is that about the size of it?
Yeah, it's all auto industry, but it's funny because we're level 4 security, right? If you look here, the fencing around the building, we do aerospace too, right? But I haven't seen any aerospace in the last couple of years. So we could do anything military. That's why I said, if there's going to be a world war, I'm going to let you guys know firsthand, because obviously we're the first people in line to get anything to do with military contracts. And once the military contracts come, I'll let you guys know. Then I'll be on the fence about World War III.
I sure hope you do, Leo, because I'm waiting to find out before everyone else does.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything, and I know everybody in this city, every tool shop in this city, there's a lot. Okay, now there's a couple places that are making weapons. They've always made weapons, rifles, stuff like that. Right?
You're breaking up here. I can't hear a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me, Rick?
I can hear you. Yeah, it's a little garbled, but I've got you.
Yeah, so once we get to that point where World War III is happening, believe me, this whole town will be converting over from auto industry to making weapons and bombs and airplanes and everything else.
Oh,
well, hopefully we don't see that. That's about all I can say.
We're in World War III. It's a spiritual war. It has nothing to do with ammunition and nuclear bombs. It's a spiritual war of love and
I believe that.
Hate and good and evil. Really, that's really what we're in. Once we all identify that, we'll all calm down, and we'll realize that once we know that is what we're in, the matrix of how they've been trying to how they've been trying to manipulate us over the years with mainstream, with music, with everything that we've been taught basically since birth, and we've taught our children, is all bullshit. It comes from love and light and not hate and ignorance. And really, every human being, including prisoners who have killed people, some of them, yes, I guess they're, psychopaths, but lots of these people just wanted to be loved. And what we lack in this world is the ability to give it to others, the ability to share it, because we're all so scared to death of being hurt.
Right. We're in a world of social media, don't forget, also, right, where everybody don't care about one another. It's all about their own personal gain, their own personal ratings, and everything else. And they'll say whatever they want.
But that's not how I grew up. I didn't get a cell phone until I was probably 48. I got my first cell phone. Like, my husband didn't give me a cell phone. He had a cell phone, but I didn't need one. Like, it wasn't important. But I realized that was my access to the world, was to have one. My kids didn't get one until they were in grade 8. Yeah, and I think that's too young. But
welcome to the show there, Dragon. Yeah, we have Dragon joining us now. How are you tonight, sir?
Hello, Dragon. How are you?
Hello, sir. Hello, everyone.
So, what would you like to comment on tonight, sir?
Doing great, actually, or trying, as always.
Good.
We are in World War III, I think, already. Also, I will go with Patricia on this one.
We're in the war.
Actually, I wanted to put a little something about the SNC Lavelin real quick. Actually, did you know that they have done a contribution of $50,000 to the Ukrainian aids?
No, I did not know
And then
that.
SNC Lavelin did that, my friends.
Of course they did.
I have sent the thing on your Facebook, actually, Rick, and actually it's on, if I remember well, it's on newswire.ca, where you're going to find that information.
Okay, I'll take a look here, sir.
Yeah,
and
this
see
is
what
the
you
thing.
sent me.
And so what's up? Hey, Mouth, congrats for your beautiful garden, my friend.
Oh, you see that, eh? Yeah, it's I planted a tree in Memorial yesterday, 2 trees, an apple tree and a pear tree for my own father, who's an apple type of guy, and he's hard like an apple. And then my father-in-law, he is sweet like peaches, right? So I planted a peach tree in Memorial for both those guys. But I did a video, and I told in the video, we're going to leave room for me because there's going to be a tree for me back there too. I just don't know which tree they're going to put. And I told him, just don't put me in the spot where the dog shit is in the backyard. Keep me away from that.
And there's that news release
It
that
needs
Dragon
to
was
be a cherry
mentioning.
tree.
It shows the SNC Lavelin contribution of $50,000 to the Canadian Red Cross's Ukrainian humanitarian crisis appeal. That was back in March of 2022.
Crazy.
But,
2022. Yep.
Yes.
Crazy, eh? Donate a little money, and
So
the
I come up
government's
with
off
good
you.
stuff.
What the Prime Minister did equates to the same thing that the Rizzuto clan in well, you're in Montreal, Dragon. The Rizzuto clan in Montreal, and if you don't know who the Rizzutos are, they're the one of the most powerfulest mafias, maybe in the world, right? With the Port of Montreal, and it equated to what they were doing in Montreal is exactly what they did. The government did with SNC Lavelin. No different. They took payoffs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And they shook down companies. Okay. More or less, if you didn't come with the lobby with the suitcase full of money at the end of the day, you weren't getting the contracts. And that's exactly what the Rizzuto family was doing.
You know, why do you think Blinken is running this little
Conflict of interest all the way.
Why do you think Blinken's been running his ass over there? This is all
Blinken?
closing down right now. Everything is.
Oh, yeah.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to change. They're trying to really. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to go on about it because I sound like a lunatic when I do. But all this distraction is really just kind of. It's hilarious.
It is.
If you look at it, it's totally hilarious. And every time something major is going down, there's a distraction. You know, they brought monkeypox in. Why did monkeypox come in? It wasn't something we should have ever been concerned about. It's a gay disease. Like, what's the big deal?
Wow.
But we were
You got Joe Biden saying save the Queen. Well, the Queen's been dead for 8 months.
This is all a wake up. It's a wake up for society to realize that nothing right now that we're seeing is normal. It's not real.
It's not.
No,
it's real.
It's all to wake us
Don't kid
up
yourself.
to
It's
realize
real.
that we've all been in this psyop for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's real. Don't kid yourself. It's really entertaining if you look at
Gotta plug my phone in.
The world's not going to end, folks. I guarantee you on that.
The world's
not
going to end. You know,
right.
That's what they want you to stay in the fear. See, if you live in the fear, then the energy never actually gets out there to where we are supposed to elevate to. But they realize that they're really struggling right now because there are so many people out there. There's so many truthers. There's so many people doing the right thing. There's Rick. Look at him on the top left-hand side of the screen, buddy. Like, you know, there are people that have worked and are doing their freaking best. And there's no one saying, hey, buddy, I got your back. Hey, buddy, I'm with you. Yeah, you do, Leo. You go, I got your back. I got your back. I got his back. If anything ever came down, Rick has a place in my home. Always. Because he helped me get through the pandemic. I was stuck at home for 2 years without anything, trying to recover from 2 fractured hips. And you know what? I got to love Rick, and I got to love the Maverick news media, and I got to learn about politics. I never had a shit about, I couldn't give a shit about politics. All I cared about was making money, raising my kids. I didn't give a damn. I was in the greatest
I hear
country
ya.
in the entire world. And now
lot
I
of people-
realize that my country is being sold.
It's been being sold for a very long time. Thanks to social media, thanks to platforms like this, people are opening their eyes to politics. A lot of people's eyes were closed for the longest time when it came to politics, okay, and what's going on. They were oblivious to what's going around in the world.
Yeah, but you know what's really weird, Leo? Like, I don't go out very often, not since recovering from my hip surgeries, but after COVID, I've gone out a few times and I've met a couple of people, and I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about what's going on. And you know what? No one wants to talk about it.
Right. Well, the reason I just showed you guys the technology and how it changes so rapidly, okay, in 33 years in one man's career, okay, and it's changing. It's we got 3D printing steel now. Who would ever dreamed of that happening 33 years ago? Well, it's happening right now, and it's happening in my shop, right? So technology is always going to evolve, and there's good technology out there, especially with your hip. Did you have hip replacement? Can I ask?
No, not hip. 2 hip fractures.
Okay, because a friend of mine at work had hip
They're
replacement.
totally different. You usually don't walk normally after, but I'm able to walk now.
Right.
I've worked hard on it.
Well, here's technology for you and how we've come. Now, he was on the wait list for about 1.5 years for hip replacement, a guy from work, and he ended up getting a hip replacement, and in less than 6 hours after recovery time, he was taking the stairs.
No, hip replacement is an easy surgery.
Well, that's technology.
If you're on long-term care, they give you 6 weeks leave. With me, it's you don't, like, you fracture a hip, you get a titanium rod put into your hip, and you get screws, 6 to 8 or 4 to 6 screws, into that rod, and it keeps your leg in contact with your hip. Without that, you can't walk.
Well, what I'm trying to say is embrace science. There is good science out there. 35 years ago, would you have that surgery? Would it be like this?
No, I would be dead.
Exactly. Okay, so they're doing heart transplants, brain transplants, whatever transplants today. Okay, and there's a lot of people that are against it. They're against it. So you're laying on your deathbed, and guess what? I'll take a pig's heart if it's going to keep me alive for an extra 6 months, and I could say goodbye properly to my family. You could put a pig's heart in me. I don't give a shit at that point, right? But that's technology. We never had this technology. Even in my shop, I never dreamed of the technology we have today. And I never once, ever thought that I'd be using a computer to make money, because I'm computer illiterate. But when it comes to making for my job,
you know what?
It's all computers, right? And I didn't grow up in the era of computers. Not like these kids we hired today. They come in, they had the leapfrog up their ass when they're in diapers, right? So
I'm so illiterate, I can't even get on the chat on Maverick. Like, I don't even know how to get on the chat.
Well, then how did you get in here tonight?
Yeah.
Because I've been following you for a long time, and I call you all the time.
Yeah, but you have to be in the chat in order to click on the link that you clicked on to get into the...
But I don't know how to get into the chat.
Then how did you get the link to click to get into the show?
Because I'm in the chat, but I'm not able to speak in the chat.
You just type in the chat. You don't speak. It's just text.
No, I mean, how do I get into type? Every time I try to
I
say,
don't
give me your YouTube link, and it's like, I don't know my password, and because I'm
you got to have your
I don't know.
password.
Anyways,
all I can say is Leo is making
It's
reference
at the
to
bottom of the
brain
chat. There's
transplants, and I have to tell you that
let's talk about brain
transplants. That is the cure for obstinate, stubborn people, because that is the cure that allows you to change your mind.
Who's doing the brain transplants?
That's a lobotomy. That's a lobotomy. You'll be lobotomized and put back on Mars like Total Recall.
I want to know who's doing the brain transplant.
I don't know, but it's yeah, it gives new meaning to having an open mind.
Yeah, the battle for cancer. There's
well,
a lot of,
I will say, thanks to you.
Go ahead.
You've opened the door to the transhumanism. You know what? I want you to get anything you like, but no cybernetics, please. Once cybernetic comes into play, I'm sorry, guys, but you're gonna be addicted to it.
I put up a post yesterday that congratulated all mothers out there on Father's Day that are taking care of their kids because there's deadbeat dads. And you want to see some of the comments from people, because I'm taking away that right, and they're comparing it with homophobic and all kinds of shit. I'm just laughing, going, one guy was so bent on it. I said, wait a second, you got to be one of the deadbeat dads out there, period. Because on Mother's Day, I do the same thing for all the mothers out there that are also fathers, right? Or fathers out there that are also mothers, because there's no mother in the kid's life because of whatever the circumstances are. It's bent out and shaped by the comment. Has nothing to do with gays or transgenders.
Leo, we're all trying to help everybody and be too nice to every single human being. So we're going to upset everyone. If you're a single mom, well, it's my day because I take my kid to hockey practice. Or if it's we're all trying to be too perfect, which is what Canadians are blamed of being, is too nice.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, Mother's Day is Mother's Day, Father's Day is Father's Day. And on Father's Day, if I was a single mother, I had my husband and I raised our kids together. You know what? I would be like, go out and enjoy yourself and do something nice. But really, don't take the day away from someone else.
Yeah.
It's really not about a mother's, now a father. Then now you're actually going into the fact that anybody can be anybody they want to be.
Well,
and really,
I grew up.
Who gives a shit? Every day should be Father's Day, Mother's Day, and every day should be Christmas.
I grew up mommyless, right? So I was raised by my father and my 5 siblings, my brothers, right? So I never had a stepmother till I was 7 years old, right? Who wanted to take on the task of raising 6 kids, 6 boys.
With you, Leo. You needed a little more boob in your face. But
no, I got lots of boob. I got lots of boob with my wife.
I'm just kidding you. I'm being funny. I'm an Irish girl, okay? Like that's
I've been with my wife for
humor.
I've been with my wife. I've been with my wife now almost 29 years, and
I know, and
through
I think
thick and
that's
thin,
beautiful.
I think so too.
That is wonderful, Leo. That is something to be really proud of.
Friday night, I get a knock at my door, on my window, and I look out the window. It's 2 Windsor police officers. Okay, so I opened the door. They said, "Did you hear a woman screaming down the street at all?" I said, "No, I'm sitting here watching TV." He says, "Are you home alone?" I said, "No, my wife's upstairs watching TV." He says, "Can we speak to your wife?" I said, "No, I beat her up." And they start laughing, the cops. So I called my wife downstairs because now they're doing a wellness check, right? They want to make sure, my wife comes downstairs. "What's going on?" She goes, and the police officer says, "Some woman screaming. We got a complaint. Some woman screaming down the street." So listen, we never heard anything on our street, and it's a dead end. It's only 10 houses on our street, right? So the cop kind of laughed because, you know what? I don't hit women. Never did. You're a coward if you do. You beat kids. You're a coward. You're a piece of shit if you hit animals. Okay, I stand for the little guy, right? Plain and simple. My wife, if she has to beat somebody up, she could beat me up. I'll take it. Right. So I've never laid a hand on her. I don't go there. Right. And through our relationship, 29 years, A lot of people said, Leo, you should have left her high and dry a long time ago. No, because if I leave her, I leave my kids, right? So I'm there for my kids. I always have been. And I try and make the best of it at the end of the day. We all have to, right? It's not always peaches and cream, Rick.
Hey, listen, we married.
My dad and mom used to be together till I was 17. Then my dad went on his way because it was kind of, time was due. But the thing that they tried to make it work so I can have a family.
Yeah, I don't argue.
Plain simple.
I don't yell. There's none of that, right? And like I've only hit my son once, and that's he was about 12 years old on my boat, and he threw his buddy in at Crystal Bay who couldn't swim, who didn't have a life jacket on. Tossed him right off the boat, right? Well, I smacked him, and the RCMP were watching, and they came right up to my boat, and I told my son, get down in the gully where you belong, and you're not coming back up till you learn your lesson, right? So that's the only time I smacked my son, and I told the RCMP, he threw his buddy in, you just seen him, no life jacket, the guy can't swim. I went, holy, right there. So that's the first smack he ever got and the last. Because he knows I don't mess around when it comes to that, right? Could have been tragic. So he learned his lesson.
It's so weird, like when we talk about that, when you say something like you would ever smack your kid. I fortunately never had to do that with mine. My kids were angels, and I'm very proud to say that. But when anybody ever says they did that, like I was never beaten as a child, and I grew up in Ireland.
Now, there's a difference between a beating and a smack, right?
But I was never even smacked. Like I never received a smack.
Oh,
but all I had to do was look at my parents, and if I did something wrong, that was it. Like you just did not disobey.
I did a few times.
Well, anybody in the 80s?
You alive in your bed. Like I was raised with the wrath of God, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, see, anybody going to school in the 70s or the 80s, especially in the Catholic school board, and I went to a Catholic school board, you just didn't mess up in school because my hands are like leather today because I messed up in school. And they didn't hesitate to bring in the office and pull the leather strap out.
I went to a high school in Ireland, and I went to a school taught by nuns. Up until I think I was 15, I think when they brought the law in that it was illegal to beat us with a leather strap. And we would get beaten with a leather strap.
Oh, yeah.
If we were out of line, if we didn't walk in a straight line, if our gutties, our white shoes weren't wide enough, if we spoke out in class, we got this leather strap that they would like wobble up and down like this until it went so fast and then went right down on your hand, and you're basically fracturing your bone pretty much. And
right.
we would lick our hands because it wouldn't sting so much if you licked it. Then the sting wasn't so hard when they beat us with the leather strap.
By grade 8, my hands were like leather, and I'd get the strap and I would laugh at the principal, and he'd just keep going till he was sweating, and I just keep laughing, right? Because it was my hands were immune to it.
So back to this debate about whether they should debate the the whole pandemic thing. And this is the way mainstream media is portraying RFK Jr. This is NBC tonight saying the conspiracy candidate, what RFK Jr.'s anti-vaccine crusade would look like in the White House. Do you think that, and be careful what you say here, folks, because we're on YouTube, Facebook, but do you think that they're being fair, unfair to RFK Jr., especially tonight? Apparently, they've even taken down the interview that RFK Jr. did with Jordan Peterson on YouTube.
I'm all about freedom of thought, freedom of speech. Okay, think for yourself. Say what you want to say. That's the world we're in. When people put a muzzle on you, there's a reason.
Silent, Leo. We can't be just about, we're just going to go up there and attack them and we're just going to stand up. No, let's be realistic here. JFK Jr. is going to be taken down. This is going to happen. He's going to be removed as much as possible. At the end of the day, I truly believe that he will be, if everything goes according to plan and everyone wakes up, he will be the next leader. Now, whether he's going to be a Democrat or a Republican, that's another thing. We don't know what is going to happen here with him, because there is no reason for him to put himself into this situation, to throw his family into this after everything. He doesn't need the money, and he certainly doesn't need the accolades. He doesn't need the power. If you look at it from the big perspective, he's coming from a different motive here. And if we want to believe in the truth and stop questioning it, we need to realize that maybe this is God's work happening.
Maybe not. Who knows, right?
Stop doubting it.
Well,
You
it's
can
not that.
always doubt it, Leo.
It's
But
not
if you
that
doubt it, it will never work, because you're still
When they
giving the devil its energy to work.
when mainstream media puts a muzzle on somebody, I got questions to ask. Okay, and they put a muzzle on them by canceling them on YouTube and everything else, right? So when you got mainstream media in the left putting muzzles to silence people, I'm a firm believer of freedom of thought and freedom of speech. And when somebody interrupts that, they better look in the mirror. Everybody better start looking in the mirror.
Well, that's
right?
why anytime someone upsets you, you buy a mirror from the dollar store and you put it in the window. When that person comes over, or if your neighbor is bothering you, you put that mirror in the window and you
Right.
let it reflect on them.
Right. I can't
Because
make
really,
everybody
that's
happy.
what it's all about.
Neither
But they're
can
trying to
RFK.
silence him for a reason I don't understand, because really, when I have a difficult time listening to him, I will be honest, because I'm irritated if I don't hear someone quickly speak to me. And I don't want to have to focus on trying to understand what someone is saying. I have a difficult time with accents. If I don't understand the accent, I get very frustrated. That is just me, because I want to hear things in the moment. But I listen to him, and I have watched every single interview he's given, and he just gives me so much wisdom, and he gives me groundingness. It's almost like I haven't heard anyone speak like him, and he doesn't make my stomach turn, you know?
Well,
He doesn't
you know what,
make me hurt inside.
Patrice, this might make you hurt, and a lot of viewers out there, this might make you hurt. 2015, there was a guy named Justin Trudeau who said everything the right way, ran a positive campaign, and got a majority house, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And people believed in him that he was going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And look what we have today. We were wrong.
He was an actor, just like Zelensky.
They all are.
Well, now that you see, the thing is, a lot of people never woke up to politics after we were allowed to wake up. What the scandemic did was wake a lot of people up, because we've never been infiltrated like this before. We all thought we could just get on with our lives and blah 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 and pay our bills and blah blah blah. We'll get on in this world if we save enough money and buy a stock that might make $1,000, and we'll go on vacation that year because we made some money. Like, you know what? Our reality got kind of hit in the face. And really, it's God's work happening. We're realizing that we've all been slaves. We have paid to our government. Our money is going out to Ukraine, and they're doing a lot of stuff with that money there. And it's not a country you want to invest in. And once all this comes out on July 4th, when the movie comes out with The Sound of Freedom, and what our good friend Mel Gibson is doing, once all this comes out, shit's gonna hit the fan.
I like Mel Gibson. I do. I like his movies anyways. I don't know Mel Gibson, okay, but I know just from his movies, I like his movies.
Hollywood has been trying to take him out for a long time.
He's the best actor ever.
Schwarzenegger movies
because
too.
he's exposing the truth.
I like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies too. Maria Shriver and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I didn't know this till I watched the documentary on him that he's got on Netflix right now. Maria Shriver is part of the Kennedy clan, right? I just don't know which part of the Kennedy clan she belongs to.
She's JFK Jr.'s cousin.
Okay, so how close is she to RFK?
Oh.
Cousin. Wait, hold on. Cousin, second or third cousin? Yeah, third cousin, I think. No, to RFK Jr. You're asking who Carolyn Kennedy is?
No, Maria Shriver.
Oh, Maria Shriver was married. Oh,
to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
She is from the mother's side of the JFK. She's the Shriver side. She's not the Kennedy side, but she's a cousin.
Okay.
So she's a second or third cousin, if I'm not mistaken.
It's pretty ironic though, how Arnold Schwarzenegger came from Hollywood, okay, to being the governor of California, and his wife had a lot to do with his election, and she's part of the Kennedy clan, right?
Yeah, so guys, the clock is ticking here, so let's go once around, and I'll get final thoughts from each of you as we get ready to wrap up tonight. Patrice, you go ahead first, and just give me some final comments for tonight.
Well, I think everyone should watch the redacted episode today. That's all. And apologies, Dragon, you didn't get to talk a lot. I did talk a lot, and I think I should have stopped. But I wasn't expecting to be on this long.
You were fine. You were fine.
You're great.
Anyways, I just wanted to give my piece on
We're
that.
all good.
Stay strong, everyone. Everything is changing. Like, I feel energy changing. I feel the truth is coming out. I feel very positive about that. I feel like everyone that's doing the work, Rick, you're doing the work, buddy. You're my soul.
My feed's going off.
I really feel like we're all doing it together. And truly, I want people to stay positive. Don't be negative. Be happy. It's the first day of summer. It's my birthday on Wednesday. And it's the summer solstice. Let's be positive and let's keep the vibe of we're going to do this. It's all going to work out.
Excellent. And Dragon, over to you. And we lost Dragon. Yeah, we lost his feed. So let's pull him down. I don't know. He lost his connection. Go ahead, Leo. Over to you, sir, for a final comment tonight.
Embrace technology. It's here. There's good technology. Don't fear it. Okay. As long as we have the choice to do what we want to do, and that's to go to Mars or go to the moon or go to the bottom of the ocean to see the Titanic, that's freedom of choice. Okay, now you pay the consequences at the end of the day when you make those choices. Don't fear it. Okay, especially do not fear technology. It's here. It's only going to get better. I can't wait because, like I said, in 33 years, the technology that I saw change just in industry is remarkable. So, basket, it's coming, right? But when it comes to the, you know what, the things in the arms, I'm not for it, and I never will be. It's a matter of choice. At the end of the day, you should be the right to choose and have that right. Thanks, Rick.
Okay, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys all back here tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll let you guys sign off, and I will wrap up the show. Thank you to all you guys who joined the program tonight. I have been monitoring to see if there's been any development with the search for that submersible. From the looks of things, there's no new development there as of this hour. So we will continue to follow that through the night, and we'll bring you any updates tomorrow. Also, we are preparing to begin covering these RFK Jr. speeches. So that will that'll be front and center, I think, even starting tomorrow. So look for that tomorrow. RFK Jr. speeches. and other election coverage in general. We'll start to ramp that up as the Republicans, the Democrats, and other parties in the U.S. too, they're selecting candidates to run in the upcoming presidential race. But of course, it's basically a two-party system, and we'll see what happens with all of that. And I'll be back tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat station right here on the Maverick News Network. Catch you all 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.